We're live. I forgot to do a countdown.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Bangers Sports Card Podcast.
Just continue. I want to hear the second verse.
No one wants to hear.
We are joined by the illustrious co-host, Mr. Rod from Picking and Punching Cards, and none other than Cary from American Arbitrage Cards, and I am Tim from Over the Years Sports.
I was pretending like I was a character, like when you're in the selection screen of Street Fighter, and you're like, choose your character.
It just waves back and forth. Every
so
game,
good.
every fighting game from the 1990s.
Yeah, every night fighting game, you're just going back and forth.
That might be one of the best, one of the funniest things Cary's ever said. And Cary says a lot of funny stuff, but that one was
I'll take
good.
it. I'm writing it in my notebook.
Just like, when you do podcasts or you do radio or TV, like you don't want any dead air. Same thing in like pro wrestling. When you're in the ring, you don't want any, you just can't stand there when a guy's coming at you. So they want you to be in some type of movement. So like the games, they want people just to move back and forth. So they're just standing there.
But Cary has a good bounce, though.
I know. I
Like,
feel like
he was
in
doing
another
really
life
good.
I was a boxer. I told you guys the story of where I got hit by Muhammad Ali. Did I ever tell you that story? That's a real story. I really did get hit by Muhammad Ali, the actual boxer. I was like 12, and there was a children's choir I was in Salt Lake City. And he had a documentary that came out in 1996. I'm not joking. They showed it at the Capitol building in Utah. I was in the Salt Lake Children's Choir. He came to the viewing or to the show, and he came down and visited us before the actual play, before the movie showed. And all the kids were getting autos, and that's the one time I didn't bring anything for autos in my whole life. I was an autograph hound.
What?
Well,
Are you kidding me?
I didn't think he'd sign up for us, but he signed for everybody. Such a nice guy.
Well, not everybody.
Yeah,
but not
all
you.
the kids. Yeah, not me, because I wasn't prepared. But he was shaking hands. He had like a line that kids going through, shaking hands. Everybody was so excited. And I guess he chose me to like fake out the hand shaking, and just he went like that, and then he went to, he didn't connect, but he went, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I never forgot it, man. It's like freaking 30 years later. So
he didn't connect because you were bobbing and weaving.
No, I was bobbing and weaving.
He couldn't hit you. I get it, man.
Yeah.
He was probably pissed off that you didn't get his autograph, so then he wanted to punch you, and then you were bobbing and weaving.
You know whose autograph Cary did get, though?
What did you get?
Your autograph. Remember? Candy Maldonado.
Oh, did you get Candy Maldonado?
No, you did, I thought.
I got Candy. When?
I don't know. I just was throwing out a name for you from
I'll tell you who I did
checklist.
get. I got I think I've got at Angels games when I was a kid, Luis Polonia.
Well,
Shout
did you
out
just
Luis
look up a
Polonia.
1990s checklist? Is that what you're
No,
doing on
I'm
your
telling
phone?
you. I
Was that what you
also
were
got
doing on your
Jimmy
phone?
Layricks. Jimmy Layricks.
Hold on. Is Tim cheating over here? You were literally looking at your phone. You put up the 1990 checklist.
Yeah, you can't cheat
oh,
like that.
Look at this.
You can't pull out San Francisco Giant Great Candy Maldonado without actually knowing it off the top.
He
of your
got caught
dome.
red-handed. You get caught red-handed in the cookie jar. Look at you.
I made a list.
You did?
Last night when I was on the stream with Keith, because Keith was opening some 1990 score, and I was like, I gotta save some of these for the podcast.
For the hours I've spent opening score 1990, Donruss 1990. I got like 20 packs behind me of Donruss 1990. I mean, it's awesome.
Keith went 3 for 4 in his first break with autos last night.
Dude, Bowman on Dibdit Cards has been absolutely fire. Every single break, doesn't matter who's breaking it. We've been hitting stuff left and right on there, man.
He pulled the Walker Jenkins auto to 250 out of a blaster box.
Then he sold his Dylan Cruz auto too last night.
Yeah, I think it was a final number on that 195.
Around 200, which
it's a good price right now for a live auction on Dibdit Cards too.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I was surprised. I thought it was gonna go for like 150, but it went higher than that. So had a lot of interest on that, but
I capped out at 75.
Jeez. Really, $75? That was your cap out?
Yeah, dude. He usually is trying to get him for $3 a card, $3 a card. So if he's paying 75, he must really want it.
Well, speaking of spending money, we're going to talk a little bit about Fanatics Fest today. We're going to do deep dive in that. There's a lot of stuff going on. Fanatics Fest?
What is it?
Jeez.
Did that happen?
I
Is
hate
this
you
a
both
thing
right
that's
now.
going on right now?
I know Julio Franco was there.
Was Julio Franco there really?
Yeah, him and Terry Steinbeck.
Dude, I want a bat signed by Julio Franco. So when I do that, when I do the stance at my softball games, they know they know who it is.
They know it is
auto.
where you learned it from the auto.
Imagine if we all lived like together and we had like a Dibdit softball team.
Dude, first off, raw athleticism and sex appeal.
Yeah, but what about you two?
That's probably the name of our team.
What about you two guys then?
No, we're gonna let you be on the team, dude. You don't have to fit either of those categories. You just be you.
So I want you guys to talk about your card show first this week instead of me.
Oh yeah, we got Rod coming out.
You guys were together,
Orlando
right?
today.
We were, yeah. So I drove out to Orlando. So Cary invited me to come to the card show in Orlando, and then we were planning on hitting up a couple of shops together, and then I was going to set up a private pick with a local collector down there. So I was like, all right, I'm going to kill 3 birds, 1 stone. So we go out there to this card show, and I left the house in a hot mess. So I was a hot mess express from leaving my house. I forgot all my batteries sitting on my table. I forgot.
Why were you a hot mess? Was it a long night of drinking?
Well, I did call him the night before, and he said, "I'm at the bar," is what he told me.
Yes, I was. I did go to happy hour the night before, so I did wake up with a little headache in the morning.
Can't do that at National, but you're gonna get left in the dust.
Oh, dude,
listen, I'm a professional.
No mini bar
right?
for you, but
no, I'll be fine.
We're gonna be fueled on pure Doritos Locos Tacos.
Yeah.
And whatever crap they're selling at the I don't know, just stale pizza or whatever. That's what we have to live off.
No, I'm smart. I literally have like protein bars in my bag. I'll have stuff there. Like I'll be fully prepared.
Yeah, exactly. How are you gonna compete with the real bargain boxers eating that?
What's up? That's how I get my advantage.
Steroids.
I'll be stuff. Oh, performance enhancers. All right, we need.
You think protein bars are going to fuel you? No. Bugles are the food of bargain boxers. Okay, you need bugles in one hand and flipping through boxes in the other, or you're not going to be able to think straight.
Yeah, nothing like the crunch and then wearing them on. Let me guess, you're the type of kid you wore them on your fingers like Freddy Krueger back in the day, didn't you?
Oh yeah, 100%. It actually helps you pick the cards up.
So this weekend, though, Cary actually talked me off a ledge. I almost overpaid for a collection.
Oh, dude, it was bad.
Almost. I was this close to overpaying for a collection. And I started editing that footage today, and I was like,
it was bad, wasn't it?
Yeah, I should have. I got caught up in the moment there. And I'll tell you why. But
it would have been tough at half the price he was asking. It would have been like,
I could have. So I went to $12.50, and anyway, make a long story short, random guy walks out to me during the show, and he's like, I got some cards. You buying? And I was like, I'm always buying. Okay, what do you got?
Go out to the parking lot to do a deal on cards. Yeah. It's all weird.
Yeah, but then we walk outside to do the deal, and then he's like, "That's too hot out here. Let's go back inside." So we went back inside, and we started going through this whole collection stuff like that. But make a long story short, and this is something I actually want to talk to you guys about, because as we're going through it, this is a tricky thing, and I want to ask you guys this question after this. What is stuff, don't answer this now, but I'm going to ask you, what is stuff that you come across at sports card shows that maybe tricks you sometimes, that you maybe it's worth a lot more, like leaf autos, wild card sums, one-on-ones. There's a lot of things out there that can trick people, but as I'm digging through this box, there's a lot of like wild card, like the Dynamite cards. There's a lot of like a lot of like superstar, like Mark McGwire autographs, stuff like that, but a lot of it was leaf. That was another problem there too. So make a long story short, there was 180 cards, and we tried to.
Damn, and you were at how much?
I was at like originally I wanted to pay 1,000. He wanted 1,800. I wanted like 1,000, and I offered him 1,250. You were going
through. It was like maybe 6 rows total or 5 rows from those Zion cases, and he was picking up half rows, and it was just $3 card, $4.
That's what I was gonna say. I would have offered him $500.
The high end was definitely at that price point was fine, but there was way too much low end, dude. Way too much stuff that you would have like struggled to even half what per card was.
Here's the thing is there's a bunch of cards in there that were $40-$50. There's a couple uptowns in there. So like there was stuff that I can get a big chunk of my money back immediately that I could quick move and stuff like that. But I mean, the rest of the stuff I just would have ran through some whatnot auctions, stuff like that. Would have listed a bunch on eBay. So I had a plan in my head. Like when you guys buy a collection, you need to have a plan in how you're going to sell the stuff and where you're going to sell it.
Dibditcards.com.
Yeah,
America's favorite place to sell and buy sports cards.
So make a long story short, we ended up not making a deal. Cary, I didn't tell you this. he actually made a deal with that first table when we walked in, the very first guy at the table, and he ended up trading. I think he gave the guy $1,000 cash, all his cards for a LeBron James card that was like $2,500 or something in there. So, but the guy tried to sell it to me after. I was like, "Oh, did you buy those cards? Oh, you interested in buying them?" And I was like, "No." So he offered me more than what I offered the other guy. So I was like, "No, I'm not buying these." But you found some good stuff there, didn't you?
Oh yeah, dude. Have you ever found something so good that you didn't realize it was good till you got home because
all the time?
Yeah,
dude,
all the time.
That's the best feeling.
That is. So I was going through, and this will be in my video yesterday, since we're on Monday, but it's Tuesday when this comes out. I found a $2 card in the $2 box, and I got a deal, so I didn't even pay that, $1.50. It was a Dylan Harper Hidden Gem case hit. Now, I bought it just because it was a cool-looking insert of Dylan Harper. Looked great. The draft's coming up. It's great for auction fodder or, maybe $10, $15 card if I'm lucky, right? I got home, and I found out it was a case hit, like super short print or super, super short print, whatever they're saying on eBay. And it ranges like $73 to about, $130.
I was going to say, yeah, I saw a couple go for $130.
Yeah, and when I was posting it last night, there was only one available at $350, or when I was first looking at it yesterday. Yeah. And then somebody came in at like $135, like within that 6-hour time frame. But still,
would you listen for it?
It never was a $350 card, but it was just an insane number there for that.
Did you put it for auction, or did you put it for?
No, I'm probably going to eventually send it to like DC Sports if it doesn't sell in a couple weeks. But
I was going to say, if I were you, obviously I would, and this is something we're going to talk about a little bit today, but I would list it right now because it drafts this week.
No, it's listed right now.
Okay.
I have it listed.
Okay.
But if it doesn't go in the next week or two, I'll send it.
I think he'll sell draft night because he's going to get drafted number 2 by the Spurs, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because the Spurs apparently are absolutely in love with him. Because here in DC, there was rumor the Wizards have been trying to move up from 6.
Yeah, Jazz too, and nobody wants to give anything up.
Yeah, they don't want the Spurs are not moving out of 2, so I think they're dead locked on
What's
Harper.
the deal? What's the deal with like getting 5 first-rounders for Desmond Bane or 4, and then you can't get more than 2 for Luka or Kevin Durant? What's going on? I don't.
The NBA trades are the weirdest trades there are out there.
Oh, absolutely.
So man. Like with because in football you can only trade X amount of years in advance. I think it's I should know this by heart.
How far in advance can you in basketball? I've never thought about that. It's
basketball,
like 7 years.
There's no cap, I don't think.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because really? I mean, these guys are trading like picks from like 2030, like it's like a movie, like that's starring Bruce Willis, like you know what I'm saying, and
dude.
People are having sexual relations with robots.
Expand. Tell us more. I'm listening.
What just happened? What?
We're talking about sex with robots, Rod. We do this usually.
NBA teams can trade up to 7 years in advance.
Yeah,
that's wild to me. 7 years. But if I'm not mistaken, if it's a lotto pick, if it's a top 5 lotto pick, it doesn't count. Then
there's conditions. So it's either unprotected or protected.
Yep.
So like sometimes they trade them protected, and sometimes they trade them unprotected.
And
obviously, if it's unprotected,
there's protections that have year limits too, like 4 years unprotected, and then after the 5th year, or 4 years where it's protected. Sorry, and then on the 5th year, it's whatever pick it is.
Yeah, just make sure you don't have unprotected sex with robots.
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah,
that's not a good idea.
Exactly. There's sharp objects, oil, all sorts of stuff.
Gets dicey.
Already, guys.
I'm thinking of like old timey robots that need like oil and stuff.
What? What could
I was thinking of the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. I don't know
how many cards did each of you buy this weekend at the card show?
How many what?
How many cards did you buy at the card show?
Oh, I did good, man. Like I probably came home. Well, I went to the card shops too, but at the card show, I probably bought like 30, 40 cards as opposed to mountains of $1, $2 cards. I've been really trying to focus on $5 and up, like stuff that when I flip it, I'm like, oh, I can tell a difference in my bank account, and it's not just like a bunch of work and I made $7. That's
the crazy thing, Cary, that one table that we were both at, where you made a giant stack and I made a giant stack behind you, and like you paid and walked away. Your total was like 140, and you gave it to 125. My total came out identical to 140, just as you. So I didn't even negotiate. He's like, I'm just gonna give you the same deal as the last guy got. And I was like, all right, that's fine. But I will tell you, I got the super cool Juju Lewis. If you guys don't know, Juju Lewis was not drafted, but signed with the Colorado. and it actually said best Fortnite player on the on the card, which I thought was a really cool inscription on there.
Yes.
But dude, the guy had $75 on it, and I looked up comps. They're going for like 25 to $35. And I was like, hey man, he's going for like 25, $35. There's like 4 sold comps or something, and he's like, I was like, do you have wiggle room in this? He's like, yeah, $25. And I was like, perfect. So just goes to show you guys, when you're out there, if you see a price on a card and you look up comps and completely off, they could have just mispriced it, and the guys will work with you sometimes. So
I don't look up. I don't look up comps at all at shows.
Well, it's $75. I'm going to look that one up because.
Well, yeah. Well, I wouldn't have.
I do a little bit,
card,
but I mean, I think I do. I also enjoy, just free balling. Just sometimes not checking comps and just going with your gut. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but what is your what is your price point? Like Tim says he doesn't look at comps, but if you come across a $20, $30, $40 card in there, are you going to look it up first?
It sometimes depends. It depends on if I'm questioning it, which is there's layers of depends.
Well, I was with you at the card shop, Cary, and Cary pulled up some $40, $50 cards. He didn't question it. He just bought it. Yeah. But Tim, do you have a certain cutoff point where you're just like, hey, I'm going to just double check at what price point?
Well, I guess for me it's a little different because I generally never buy. I always make piles.
So. Okay,
so it's a little tough for me because sometimes I'll throw in a $20 card in there, but I think it's kind of like with what Cary was saying. It depends, right? So I might look something up, not necessarily to get a comp price, but because I don't know the card, right? And so I'm like, is this just an insert or is this a case hit, right? Is this a short print? Is this a variation? Because I've gotten burned a couple of times where I've brought cards home I thinking they were short prints, but they weren't. And not necessarily short prints or image variations. So I think I look them up more so for that. But I don't know, because I generally I don't really look up comps because I just never really have to. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that has to do with it because I'm so in tuned with the value of cards, and I think a lot of that has to do with daily, on a daily basis, I'm dealing with cards, right? Every single day, I'm either listing cards, buying, selling,
two-sided,
or live selling, stuff like that, or I'm watching a live sell. For me, I'm very in tuned.
Live sales, obviously, typically the high end isn't there, like an eBay buy it now kind of situation, but live sales really put you in tune with the market. What is actually happening today? Who is hot at this moment, like Jacob Mizorowski, where if you had that auto, a month ago, even though you were high on the guy and knew he was going to be good, in a live auction format, it could have bombed, depending on who was in the building. But once he becomes, known because he's playing so well, then it'll move. So it really keeps you in tune. It's a great mental workout, like bargain boxing and flipping live. It really keeps you as sharp as you possibly can be.
Well, with that being said, though, Tim, I understand baseball. If it's Topps, if it's Bowman, you pretty much have your thumb on the market, on that one. But if it's Leaf or Wild Card or maybe Panini or something that's non-licensed, do you end up looking those up? Or
I would never pay more than double digits, 9 out of 10 times for anything like that autograph, because my goal obviously is if I'm buying that sort of stuff, it's either guys that I know that somebody else doesn't know, or they're super low numbered in autos, because it's a lot easier to move that stuff for me than it is okay, so for example, I bought a Bob McAdoo auto out of Leaf numbered out of 5, right? And it was $5. That to me, do I really need to comp that? There's no way that card is not worth at least $5, right?
Yeah.
But there are other times. I remember I ran into a buddy who had bought a Travis Bazzana 1-of-1 printing plate at the show, and I think he paid $40 or something like that for it. And I was like, that's something that I would probably consider, right? And I might look up, because to me, off if I'm spitting off the top of my head, I'm that seems like a no-brainer, right? Yeah. But then you sometimes that stuff will throw you off because they make so many of them, right?
Dude,
it's kind of difficult at times.
Tell me this. So I spent $30. I got a little bit off, but not much, on a Seth Hernandez 1-of-1 out of Leaf, who's he's the second on the pipeline for high school right now. If you go to the MLB Top 100, he's all over the place in mocks, like from like 9 to 2, being drafted in a couple weeks in the MLB. But I paid 30. I mean, I've sold 2 Leaf Seth Hernandez cards in the last 2 weeks that are higher numbered in like the $20 range. So I'm just like, I'm gonna get this Seth Hernandez because he's about to be drafted.
That's timing. That makes sense. Something like that. You feel like you could throw all the comps out the window
right now, but I might be able to make even more profit in a week or two. I put it high. I put it like at $75. We'll see what happens.
Well, because the combine just happened too. The baseball combine just happened.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You know who looked really good? There's Delman Young's son. His name is Quentin Young. If you find any of his stuff, he's kind of creeping up the draft board right now, and he looks really good. That's tripping me out because
I still feel like Delman Young is a prospect. I still feel like he's in Bowman, but okay.
So Tim, let me ask you this: is it very similar to like the NFL combine, or is it going to be completely different? Where like the guys come out, they run a quick 40, they do something, they just skyrocket and like on the board.
Are they doing 40s, or are they just like seeing how much big league chew they can put in their mouth?
So from what I was watching, it's not as much of the workout warrior stuff as much as, but it is interesting because it's like batting practice, right? So like in batting practice, everybody can look good.
Yeah.
But like the scouts are looking at,
mechanics and
exactly. And then how, if they can hit opposite field, the swing and stuff like that. And little things like that. And then they do like fielding exercises, so like, you can make a play and you're going to pop. And it's completely different in today's day and age, obviously now, than it was before, because if you do something crazy at the combine, like say you hit a ball and it's like out of the ballpark, that's going to be on the internet, right? So like it completely changes. Before that wasn't a thing, like so yeah, you definitely have that. But like it's interesting you asked about football and baseball combine, about like football and comping cards outside of baseball. For me, it's difficult because I buy very, very selectively with other sports. Like I only buy like numbered cards in football, and it has to be somebody, like I'm looking for like very unique cards. Like I showed you guys that Brandon Cooks black gold, patch rookie card. Like that's a dope
card. Would you call that a product color match because the colorways of black gold fit perfectly?
Super sick. And so like like there's stuff like that. But like so for example, like that's I found 5 101s at the card show this weekend. 5 101s. One of them is that Russell Wilson Select Snapshots 101 printing plate from 2020. So like I saw that in a box. So I was looking through the box and the guy's like, everything's got to go. And he's like, I'm like, so what are the prices on this? I mean, there were cards in there that were top loaded. There were cards in one touches. There were cards raw. Like it was just a big match of stuff upside down, backwards. And I was just like, so when that happens, right, and there's no prices, I purposely pick out like other weird cards like that nobody else would buy that might only be like $1 card, and I mix them in with 101 printing plates so that when the guy's going through it, he's just kind of like, you're kind of thrown off, right? It might be deceiving maybe a little bit, but hey,
it's like what kind of operation you running there?
No, well, he's showing him the cards. He's letting him set his price, but
yeah. So like he saw that, and he was like, oh, what is this? And I was like, he's
a card guy. He knows what it is.
I was like, there's 17 cards, and he was like, well, what are you looking for this stack? And I was like, well, you told me like they were $1 cards, so I built this stack basing upon that these are all $1 cards. But I'll give you $20 for the lot. And he's like, all right, cool. So like I got a lot of
nice.
Yeah, I got a lot of good stuff. But like that card, I have no idea what the price that card at right now.
What's similar comps going for? Other players.
It's a really weird one because where are you comping Russell? Like I noticed this when looking at cards recently too. It's like sometimes like it's like an older card has more value than a brand new card, and there's a lot of times where the new stuff is comping way higher than the old stuff, and a lot of that is depending upon how new it is. Because if
that feels like a card, like that's such a tricky one. Like what I would do nowadays is auction it off. That's what I would do because who knows when somebody's. I don't. It would have to be priced really attractively, and you bought it so well because you make the money in the buy that you can price it fairly attractively.
So like, if I were to ask you right now, like, and you were on rapid fire, and you had to put a price tag on a 2020 without even comping, without looking anything up, 2020, Rod might already be looking it up. But
are we talking to sell it or like you want to sit on it? Like if you want to sell it, it's got to be like $30, $20-$30.
See, I
it's worth
list
more
my
than that,
cards
though, objectively.
I list my cards accordingly to market, but also like I want to sell it. I want to sell my cards. Like I don't want to sit on it. Like there's certain cards I will do that for. Like if it's out of 5 auto of a prospect guy, like but like I was thinking $35.
Yeah, I was gonna say $40 is what I was gonna say. So
we're all like somewhere between $30 and $40.
Why not just you got it so cheap? Why not just put it up for auction, 10-day auction, start on Thursday, end on Sunday, and just run it start at $1 and just run it.
I think it will right now because it's off. We're in like the off seasons right now because there's no training camp, there's no mini camp, there's no OTAs. We're like in the like pure off season right now before training camp starts. So like I wouldn't list that at all. Like I wouldn't run any auctions on football stuff right now.
Would you wait to run it like the week before training camp and have it end like beginning of training camp?
Well, he's in an interesting situation because it's a New York Giants. He's playing in a big market now. He's competing with Jameis Winston and Jackson Dart for the starting job.
Tommy Cutlets.
Yeah, that he's upset. But yeah, that's it's an interesting like thing to think about. So I would probably just list it now, like at $35 and showcase it in my www.dibditcards.com live sales, just in case anybody want to buy it, But like, yeah, I picked up a lot of interesting cards like that. Like some of the other one-on-ones I picked up, like the Carson Strong, like, but it's like that card probably won't sell for much. But it was a 101 XR, which is not a cheap product
all day, even though
rookie.
Somebody from Nevada might want it. He played
he's a coach now there,
retired,
right?
Yeah.
He's coaching.
Probably, yeah.
I think Nick, big shout out to Nick. Rod, we're going to have you say his screen name.
Nick?
Yeah.
Say
his screen name begins with a G. It's very
Nick
Cajun
who?
French.
Oh. Giroux?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Nick Giroux. Sports cards. They say you say his name funny.
Yeah, say Donruss for us because I was watching your short today and I was gonna go roast you in the comment. What'd you call it?
Donruss.
Donruss.
That's not what you call it, like Don Raz or something. You said something weird.
He says Don Russ, like it's a name, like it's a guy, and it's the first name is Don, his last name is Russ.
That's what I say.
It's Don Russ, but you say Don Russ.
Don Russ, same thing.
You're getting better. He knows he's putting him on the spot.
Yeah.
What about the guy who plays for the Brewers? First name Christian, last name
Christian.
Christian.
Dude, there used to be a guy for the Eagles. His name was Allen. I was like, why would your parents, if your last name is Allen, why would you name his first name Allen as well?
Philly people, I tell you.
I don't understand. But well, speaking about not understanding, how about the prices of Chase Burns cards this week, man? Got called up. What do you think, Tim?
I'm a little upset. I sent you guys the message, so I always give these guys. Send them screenshots of guys when they get called up. And not
to interrupt you real fast, you should also let the viewers know where's the best place to get this information and where they can get instant notifications like you do.
Well, I will tell you that some people, I think some people have had some insider information. Sometimes you got to follow your beat reporters of teams, right? Because they're sometimes the first to know. But MLB Pipeline on Twitter is where I get most of my instant notifications. So I got the notification Chase Burns was getting called up. I literally sold I just packaged them up last night to ship this morning. I literally sold every single Chase Burns card I had the day before he got called up. So somebody's got a good deal.
I had a Leaf Chase Burns auto. I had been sitting on for a couple months. I got really inexpensively, and it sold probably like a week and a half ago. So he just had probably. Here's the thing: if you're following, especially if you're like a fan of the Reds. If you're following, you may know. Like, you may have a perception that it's going to happen. Like, he's been playing well in Double or Triple A. We need a pitcher. It's going to happen if it's.
There's the other guy who got called up. Okay, pitcher for the Atlanta Braves. And let's just rewind, okay, really fast to when I told everybody that pitchers were going to start selling for good money again because of Paul Skeens, and everybody thought that it was just Paul Skeens. But I'm telling you guys right now, like I told you so. I hate to do that to you, but I told you so. But like Dieter Fuentes, I don't even know if I'm saying his first name right.
Dude, did he get called up?
Yes, he's gonna be the youngest pitcher ever to pitch in the major leagues for the Atlanta Braves.
How was he? 18 something?
20. He's 20.
Oh, he's 20. Okay.
I had his Bowman Reptilian to 150 that I got like for less than $1, and I sold it on buysportscards.com, which, you know, that's like a $9 sale. I usually sell super low in there, you know, stuff for my bargain boxes.
I bet you that card's probably selling right now for at least $25.
Yeah, so there we go. So that's the coolest part. Like, we go dig, right, and we find these deals from dealers who know what they're doing, and then we know what we're doing, and then people can still do it with us because they're even more on top of it than we are. So it's cool.
So it was a blue reptilian to 150?
Yeah, blue to 150.
That's nice, man. But that's it. I mean, that's the cool thing about baseball is the timing and throughout the season. Like, now I'm getting back into this year. I would say because of Tim, I've done a deep dive back into baseball. Something that I was I was very invested in football and MMA and WWE and stuff like that. But man, now with like learning about all the prospects, having fun ripping Bowman, I think that's also too. I think that plays into it a lot because when you rip product, and there's nothing more frustrating than opening up, you know, Series 2 tops and not pulling anything out. And then you rip a little blaster of Bowman and then you're pulling out autos left and right. Like, we pulled out probably every single break that we did in Dibdit Cards for Bowman. We pulled out multiple autographs, number cards, inserts, everything else prospects. And they have a lot of upside potential. Like, the value is there for Bowman. I am like all in now in Bowman.
Oh, it's an absolute beast of like, and it's this is the other thing too, is that you got to remember is that we talked about this before. Baseball has the best collector base.
I'm feeling that like it's fun to learn constantly in this game, and I don't know why I didn't realize this. I've sold a lot of baseball cards in my day, but it's just, and maybe it's just because it's the season. I'm not sure what the off season's like, but it's different. Like, these, you know, prospects, layers and layers of prospects can sell, whereas like basketball is so tricky because it's just, you get this year you get Cooper. Let's say you get I was gonna say Cooper Cup, but Cooper Flag.
Right?
Like, how well is Con Canopal going to do? He's going to be like probably a top 6 pick. How good is you know, some of the second and third tier rookies going to do in the market? Who knows? But it's wild. It's just so top heavy in basketball.
Yeah.
Football as well, but especially basketball, it feels like.
Well, so I was going to say though too is like with Tim, one thing I learned from Tim is how organized you are with your baseball cards when it comes to prospecting is huge, because if you weren't organized, you would miss out on so much opportunity. You'd be leaving so much money on the table. So that's why it's very important, especially when you're dealing with prospecting, that you keep your stuff organized or some type of system.
Do you know how awesome it was to pull out my athletic stack and be like, oh, here is 12 Tyler Stotterstroms I've been sitting on for over a year, because at one point in time, he was the guy. Like, he was the number one guy enough. And then he went on that tear early this season. All moved, right? And then you get a guy like Denzel Clark, who is in a human highlight reel right now. I listed all my Denzel Clarks higher than comps, higher than everybody else. There's only one left right now, because eventually that market starts to go up when they start doing he has the best catch that you'll see in God knows how long. Like, it's better than some of the Griffey's catches. It was one of the craziest catches I've ever seen in my life. But like, once again, social media, like the instant gratification of highlights now, it's just like, it's crazy. So like that, like, you know, like I was just ready. Same thing with Jacob Mizorowski. Like, I'm absolutely crushing with Jacob Mizorowski. I literally put that post up on Instagram of the card that I found in the bargain box. I think I paid $1 something for it, autograph, and I was like, put the little caption image next to it of the notification I got of him getting called up, and it sold in 24 hours. I mean, like, if I would have held that card right now, I probably could have gotten even more money. I probably could have 4 or 5x'd.
That is a slippery slope.
Though. So that's why I say
I should have held, and then 9 times. It feels like 9 times out of 10 you lose.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is like if you didn't list the cut when you did, if you would have listed up a week or two later after he's already out there, the market would have been flooded. The tops would have started going down because the market would have caught up to it. You're ahead of the market right now, which is nice. In my opinion, you never make a mistake when you sell at a profit.
Yeah.
100%.
Because you could look back and say, oh, that card went up a lot more, and a card can go down. But if you cash out and you made a profit, you win. The W is locked in forever, right?
So let me ask you guys this, and everybody who's listening, shout out to Spotifyers. Drop a comment below. What are your thoughts on people putting in call up in the title of a card listing when they get called up? Do you think that really helps sell the card?
It might help people when they're scanning realize somebody had been called up, maybe, but it's not going to help in search, I don't think.
I mean, if someone's searching by the team, like if I'm searching, St. Louis Cardinals baseball cards, and then I come across new listings and it says call up, I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know he got called up yet. That might be entice me to buy. So I don't think you have 80 characters on eBay to use. So if you're not fully using all those 80 characters, it's not going to hurt you. It's only going to help.
I don't feel like you usually need 80 characters for a
have 80
listing
characters
anyway. So I don't think it's just extra words that may help but probably won't.
See, I've been thinking about. I've been including the card numbers more lately.
I do that too.
For set builders and people who are trying to build rainbows.
For me, it's like historically 30 characters is the description, and the other 50 characters are a variety of flex emojis or fire emojis or wizards. Sometimes I'll throw in a wizard just to throw people off.
So, for example, the Dieter Fuentes first Bowman Blue Reptilian 150, one sold for 15 and one sold for 8. On the same day, another one sold for $20, and in the one that sold for $20 had call up in the title.
So going back to what you're saying about putting the numbers in there, I do that because there's a lot of parallels that are very similar to each other too, and it helps to identify variations and other stuff by doing that. So people want a quick search for it. I know that helps me.
I sometimes will put card collector 2 or sports card investor so they think that I'm them.
There was a big scandal about that with what's the guy's name who does all the vintage cards on eBay? Greg.
Greg Morris.
Cards. Oh, the card professor. You're talking about?
No, his name is Greg Morris.
Oh, yeah, GMC. Okay. Like it'll be in the listings. Yeah.
But somebody started trying to put that in their titles.
Oh, cards. Really?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't think you should do that. And I was joking, but can you really stop it?
No.
I mean, no. So is it it could be a play. Honestly, it's kind of unethical. It is unethical.
I mean, I always put American Arbitrage cards and picking and punching cards in my and then
YouTube
you have no room tags
for what the card is. You just have a picture.
I use these guys all the time, man. I mean, jeez. I wouldn't be doing it right if I did.
We have long names, okay? And I didn't have much of a choice, so I could have just been Cary's cards. That would.
Shout out to National. Still waiting on the email for the media pass.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Hey, last time we did a shout out, we got our response. They must be listening. So National, when you're listening here, give a shout out. We need Tim to get his media pass.
Tim in there,
so we don't leave him by the dumpster or sneak him in the back door.
I want Tim to have more interactions with the Cool Running guys. That was the highlight of the National. That and the my interaction with Chevy Chase was pretty cool too.
Before we forget, Tim, are you doing any breaks this week?
Yes. When Thursday night, I'll be doing a Top Series 1 hobby box with a Bowman Mega.
Okay.
Those auctions are up for bidding right now. And then I will also a bonus break double 2 blaster box bonus break live auctioned sudden death teams starting at $1.
That's on Thursday. And then tonight I'll be doing a football break. I'm breaking select. We're breaking contenders. We're breaking optic. So and then I'll do a bonus break after that. And then on Friday UFC Chrome's dropping. So I'll do a box break if anyone's interested in doing that. This 12 packs, 20. I think it's going to be like $25 a pack, but you get a couple of autographs per box, which is nice. So we got those coming. Then we had a ton of non-sport breaks on there.
Yeah,
so
shout out Bodega Cards. She pulled a auto out of the Space Jam Legacy box, which is crazy because that's awesome. Very difficult to do. And it was of Ineke Okumawale, who's a really good WNBA player. So shout out to Bodega Cards for that poll.
Awesome.
Thank God that you said that, because there's no possible way I was going to pronounce that name. So thank you for just stepping in there. I gave him the alley oop and he just took it home. All right, like that was nice. So
did anybody see what the auto? Did they pull the auto out of the Cheers break? I know they pulled a mem card, but I couldn't stick around because I was taking my kid home.
I got to go back and watch that.
Speaking of Cheers autos, dude, did you see all those Cheers autos at the Orlando card show? They had so many. This like one booth. I think they were friends, 2 of them. They had maybe 40 different Cheers autos or 30. It was insane.
All right, so before we get into talk about Fanatic Fest here and stuff like that, we got a bunch of questions on Spotify and YouTube.
Let's go.
I may or may not have missed some questions last week.
Oh, do you want to tell the people about the opportunity that they have? Okay. All right. My bad. Sometimes I just got to make sure you know.
Listen, I got you today. All right. So.
Never tell Dad what to do, guys. That's the number one rule in No Vegas Sports Park podcast.
We got
whatever podcast we're on. That's the rule.
So we got multiple comments on this one. It says, this is from Trent from Spotify. It says, he would much rather listen to the name game than Tim's awful introductions.
That's not a question, right?
Well, I know, but there's a reason I want to bring that up, because I just want to clarify. Tim's introductions are horrible. So is the name game. We're just not doing the name game on here anymore.
Mark Langston.
No, we're not.
Mark Langston, though. Come on, Mark Langston, Seattle Mariners.
Joe Orsulak.
But I brought that up. Oh, here we go.
Cary kind of looks like Joe Orsulak
a little bit, dude. What about John Olerud?
John Olerud wore the helmet at first base.
Exactly, dude.
So the reason I brought that up, we had another comment about the name game, all right? We had a bunch of comments about the name
Harold
game,
Reynolds, man. You didn't even mention Harold Reynolds, Rod.
Harold Baines.
You want to keep on going? You didn't mention Harold Reynolds? He was one of Ken Griffey Jr.'s mentors, I think. Alvin Davis. Let's go late 80s Seattle Mariners. Go.
What does that have to do with the hardworking people that spend their time each week listening on Spotify and YouTube?
They love it. I think they love it.
They don't love it.
They love this dynamic of you being
mad,
and I assume
because you guys are idiots.
You're mad, and I assume you're constipated by the way you're acting, and we're just having a good time.
All right, so I will say they did bring up a good idea. Scott on there says, imagine doing a $1 a month Patreon where they do the name. You guys just do the name game on the Patreon.
We have to like match a name to their name, or just that.
I don't know. I was like, this is interesting. So when I saw that comment, I was like, well, this is perfect. This is a perfect segue to talk about. We literally just launched memberships on this channel here, guys. So we got 3 separate levels. We had a lot of people kept asking us how they can support the show and support what we do here. So I do appreciate that. And so we have a couple different levels. Level 1 is the bargain box, $1.99. You guys just want to come out, hang out, and support us. You get like special emojis and other things. We have a value box at $4.99. All right, you're gonna get special access to like member only lives and some other things backstage. And then the last one is going to be $9.99, and it's going to be. Go ahead, Tim.
I'm gonna buy a case.
Yes, and
I'm gonna buy a case level. I love it.
Yeah, if you guys want to do that, we'll have special videos, member only videos back there. Maybe you guys will play a whole round of name game, then you just eliminate each other as you play. You know, who knows?
That's a good one.
It's we'll do a random wheel, and then all 3 of us will play the name game and see who lasts, and we'll just keep going. We'll put random sports, random teams on there, and wherever it lands on, we just have to go. So, but guys, if you guys want to support us, you guys don't have to, but get your name shout out each week. By the way,
we should do that. The name game.
That's when I saw this. I was like, well, this is
like
perfect.
Era and pick team, and the last person.
Dude, we each put 10 things on a wheel, and then we just go each week. We do a quick little video on it.
Household items, or
do we have a membership? Any members yet to shout out?
Let's practice. Let's practice.
Shout out to Otis Nixon.
Shout out Otis Nixon. Ron Gant. We've already done Ron Gant, though. But shout out Ron Gant. Sweet. I'm assuming you're listening out there.
Well, hopefully he is, because you shot him out twice now. It's like
Bob Malachy.
Bob Malachy. I love it. I don't know why I'm thinking Denny Hamlin. He's a NASCAR. Probably because of Fanatics Fest. He was everywhere.
You guys having fun back there? You guys done now?
Oh, dude, Ben McDonald. He had that card that said he was a first.
Have you seen Ben McDonald's haircuts lately?
No, like
he has the Jim Carrey, Me, Myself, and Irene haircut.
Does he really?
Yeah,
I'm just happy.
He does commentating for the Orioles.
I'm glad he just still has hair. I mean, we're in our early 40s and we're all struggling, and he still has a flat top or whatever. That's good.
Speaking of struggling, no, we have no memberships right now. So we just launched it. So it just got launched up, but we just got approved. So come support us on there.
Let's see how this goes.
Yeah. So all right. So we had some really good questions here.
Shout out Ruben Sierra for being our first member. That I am going to will that into existence. Ruben, if you're watching, or Danny Tartable. I'll settle for Danny Tartable. That dude was a beast, and he's underrated.
All right, Torch3316 says, why do people call a plain jersey card a patch card? Shouldn't be multiple colors and shouldn't be the patch off the jersey? Why do they call it a patch card?
It's a stupid thing that people do on Whatnot, I feel like. Especially, I feel like it, in general, it's kids too, like younger guys that are calling everything a patch when it's, a blaster box, not from any specific event piece of a jersey.
So what do we call it then?
Well, it should be called a mem card, in my opinion, memorabilia, or
But see, I understand from my thought process,
it's not even a jersey necessarily. I don't.
Well, it comes back to like when people used to make like big blankets and stuff like that, because anytime you cut off a part of your shirt, it becomes a patch, and then they used to make that in like big blankets, like the patch blankets and stuff like that.
I think patch, maybe like historically with our hobby, has been the colorful, one color, two color, three color patch. Well, not one color, I guess, but I feel like they're taking something that meant something, right? That connotated value in the community, right? Like a patch, and then they've watered it down. Now it doesn't mean what it meant 15 years ago.
But a lot of people do call the plain ones napkin patches, where they just like the plain Jane.
I think if you say napkin patch, I think
nobody wants to buy it if you call it a napkin.
Exactly,
that's also like true. There we go.
But here's the thing. Like if nobody wants to buy a napkin patch, then stop trying to sell it, right? Like, don't put it in a one touch and call it a patch, and then just don't do it, or just say what it is. This is just a cool insert. It's an insert rookie. It's got a little piece of something from something. We don't know.
I think Tim hit the nail on the head though, because
that's player
to sell
worn,
it,
though, dude. So that's been worn. There's something there.
Yeah, it has been worn.
That's game used. That's a little bit different.
Not game used.
It's a rookie. It's a rookie.
No, it's the Jersey Fusion's that's Jersey Fusion.
No, it's not Jersey Fusion.
Oh,
it's just Series 1.
Oh, gotcha.
But it's a rookie since he didn't play in the MLB yet. He doesn't have game used, so they use player worn for that. Yeah. So like Topps does it right on that stuff. Player worn for rookies, game used for everybody else.
Last week we talked about like different memorabilia that was supposed to be in like cards, like what we wanted to see. We had some good comments. Eric White said he wants to see a Wade Boggs beer can. Inserted into a card.
Yeah, did you see that on Fanatics thing? Fest, yeah. The guy had the big old thing with the 73 beers. He had and Wade Boggs was both polite and completely disinterested. I love that's like my favorite type of celebrity interaction. Like, they're not mean. They're totally polite, but they could care less about
Wade Boggs. Wade Boggs looks like he's running drugs for the Colombians in Miami now.
Allegedly.
In 1970, but even though it's 2025.
Well,
you ever seen that Tom Cruise movie where he's flying around like running? Yeah, he reminds me of that guy a little.
Well, he did play for the Tampa Bay Rays, and if you guys know the backstory, they used to fly the cocaine. They wouldn't fly into Miami because that's where they're watching the ports. They would fly to Lakeland. They would load up cars on like the car things that they use to transport cars all the time, and then drive it to Miami. So that was the workaround they did for many, many years. They
so wait, the Tampa Bay Rays were smuggling cards and cocaine?
Maybe. Allegedly. I don't know.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. I'm not trying to get sued here. We have no members on the pay for a lawyer yet. So we got to work to that point. Then we get sued.
We'll have a heavy load to carry if we get sued. So
shout out Spike Owen.
Yeah. Daniel Larson said, he said the biggest miss in the hobby is
Oil Can Boyd.
What's up?
He's the only baseball player I know named after, like, his nickname is Oil Can. Why? Because it's like, did he have creaky arms when he was throwing pitches or something?
That's a good question. I don't know. You should look that up.
Putting oil in balls.
You were talking about cocaine allegedly, and I thought of Oil Can Boyd.
Yeah. So. But Daniel Larson said that they miss a giant opportunity. Why don't they use, do you know when you have a cigar and you have that little ring on the end of the cigar, like the little piece of, like, why don't, for the championships, when they win like the NBA finals, like you always see like Jordan in the locker with his like giant cigar and stuff like that. Why don't they put that on a one-on-one?
I thought that was pretty dope. I thought that was brilliant. And big shout out to the Oklahoma City Thunder who won the NBA championship.
Everybody's saying like it don't count though because man,
I hate that. As a guy who is a world class athlete and lost his career to an injury myself, I hate seeing.
Sorry,
people...
I laughed. I should have. Yeah,
I'm
sure
still
you
laughing,
were.
Cary. I'm still laughing.
I felt bad because he was being serious.
I was being dead serious. I hate seeing guys get hurt.
No, I do too. I hated that.
Tyrese Halliburton, man.
Yeah,
I hated it because, and obviously OKC deserves, because they were both in it, but like it needed to be with the whole. At that point, to be so close to not at least lose on your terms or win on your terms, it was brutal.
Did you list any SGA cards?
No, I didn't.
I got a Hoops holiday rookie card I'm going to list.
I don't have like any high-end stuff. So
do you know that so remember, like I was telling you guys, he's now only the 4th player ever to win MVP, a scoring title, and a championship in the same season. And I think finals MVP too. The other 3 people were Jordan, Shaq, and Kareem.
Shout out to Presti, I guess, for doing that trade in wasn't it his rookie year when he got traded from the Clippers? I think
so, the Clippers, yeah.
I don't know what the Clippers got, but it's the Clippers, so I'm sure it was not what he was worth.
I think they have 17 first-round draft picks in the next 7 years.
Who are the Clippers?
No, the Thunder.
The Thunder. Well, I mean, they're a smaller market. So
the Jazz are trying to do that too, except we even have Cody Williams. We even have Jalen's younger brother on our team, but it hasn't come to fruition even close yet, unfortunately.
Well, you know how many MVPs are not NBA regular season MVPs are not in the Hall of Fame right now?
How many that are not?
Yeah.
There's got to be one floating around that was like a one-time MVP.
What
the answer?
Derrick Rose.
I think Derrick Rose should be. I don't know. He's borderline. I think he kind of should be.
So think about that though. Like if you buy somebody, like if you're buying basketball cards and you're looking for guys who are Hall of Famers, then you probably want to buy somebody who won an MVP because that means it's almost a lock that they're eventually going to be in the Hall of Fame.
We should jump on ChatGPT and ask them what the breakdown is for like football and baseball now. Now I'm like curious, like how many MVPs are not in the Hall of Fame? For those sports.
I think it's a lot less with baseball.
Is probably a large because it's so much harder to get into baseball and football Hall of Fame than it is the baseball.
Like Dale Murphy, wasn't he back-to-back MVP? He might have been.
Look at a guy like Brian Mitchell. He 1,000% should be in the Hall of Fame, but he's not. I mean, he never won MVP, but he was one of the best all-purpose players of all time in the NFL. He's the best returner of all time in the NFL.
Yeah. I think Hester made that like possible for returners to get in.
How many guys think that Hall of Fame eligible MVPs never elected to the
baseball?
How many think it is?
I guess 22.
For which sport?
Baseball.
I'd say 22.
So baseball has been around for like what, 200 years?
No, they've been around for about 150.
Like 340?
So I'd say 70. I'd say 75.
Wow.
Baseball MVP winners. It's got to be
like
a
lot of random dudes from like the 1940s and 50s.
So it's actually 3. I'm sorry, 53. There's 53.
Okay, wow, that's a big difference.
Not Hall of Fame, but they were MVPs. How about not Hall of Fames among the 2-time winner MVPs?
Oh, still probably 15.
Yeah, I'd say 20.
It says 3.
Who is it? It's Dale Murphy, right?
Dale Murphy, Juan Gonzalez, and Roger Maris.
Dude, Juan Gonzalez.
Roger Maris is not in the Hall of Fame? No way. That doesn't make any sense.
That's
he should be in the Hall of Fame just for the season.
I thought he was definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame.
There's no way Roger Maris is not in the Hall of Fame.
That's what Roger Maris has not been inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Dude, could we just let the steroid users in the Hall of Fame? It's ridiculous.
I agree, but you're telling me Roger Maris is not a Hall of Famer?
Roger Maris is according to ChatGPT, says Roger Maris is not in the Hall of Fame. Although many believe that he belongs there, the Hall of Fame has never inducted him. Yeah, I'm shocked.
That's crazy.
He was on the writers' ballot until 1988, peaked at 43%, but he never made it. Dude, 2-time AL MVP. He had the single season record for 61 home runs, 2-time World Series champ, 7-time All-Star, and a Golden Glove winner.
Dude, that's like a no.
How is he not in the Hall of Fame?
Because I feel like Hall of Fame is also like historical significance too. Like having that one season alone, and then you add 2 MVPs and 7 All-Star games. That's a no-brainer. I don't care about stats.
You're telling me overall. Scott Rowland is a Hall of Famer and Roger Maris is not.
How about Harold Baines, who had a great statistical thing because he played for like freaking 20 plus years. If Harold Baines is a Hall of Famer, all those guys are like two tiers above in the Hall of Fame.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's six. You guys keep talking for a second. I'm gonna see what football is now. I'm shocked right now. Like shocked about the whole Roger Maris thing.
I think that you know what's crazy is like the bat that he hit 61 home runs with is in the Hall of Fame.
The bat is, but he's not. I'm sure there's a lot of other things he did is in the Hall of Fame that he's not though. That's insane to me, especially being a Yankee. I feel like being a Yankee that just gives you an extra push to be in the Hall of Fame.
Seriously. 100%.
Oh, this was a good one from last night from the 1990 score set. Andy McGaffigan.
McGaffigan. Wow. That is wild.
That's the name,
Andy,
right?
Yeah, Andy. Andy McGaffigan. I remember him, yeah.
Gosh, all right, dude, so I just asked football.
I love 90. 90's so good.
How many people do you think
Scott Eyre? Remember Scott Eyre? Huh? EYRE? That dude was good. You remember him, Rod? Probably not.
All right, here we go.
Just
messing with him.
All right, so what's the answer for how many MVPs are not included in the NFL Hall of Fame right now?
7.
How many NFL MVPs are? NFL's been around for what? 123 years.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, about 100 years.
Maybe I'm over exaggerating.
Yeah, you're over. They're about 100 years.
It's been around since the 20s.
1920s. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so about 100 years.
Yeah.
I'd say 64.
Cary, what was your guess?
65.
No, your original guess.
Oh, 7.
It's 7.
Only 7 MVP winners are not in the Hall of Fame?
Because there's only 51. I guess they didn't start doing MVPs later on.
Okay. Yeah, move over, Chad. It's Cary GPT right here, bro. 7.
But I mean, I'm here. But the 7 are Sean Alexander, Steve McNair, Rich Gannon, Boomer Esiason, Joe Theismann, Mark Mosley, and Ken Anderson.
So two Washington Redskins.
I'm cool with all those guys.
Joe Theismann's not in the Hall of Fame? I guess he got his injury.
His injury's probably in the Hall of Fame. It's like
exactly. Like the X-ray or whatever.
Yeah, it's the X-rays in the Hall of Fame. That would be funny if it was. If that would be something. Put their X-rays in cards and then put like.
Dude, Sean Alexander. Shout out to like fantasy football in the Ox. You know, like Sean Alexander. There's so many guys who had a couple seasons. Like I always think of like. There was Jamal Lewis that was really good for a few seasons. Larry Johnson, remember him?
Oh yeah, Priest Holmes,
dude. People don't.
Jamal Charles.
Those are all great examples of like people hyping up all these people right now. That in 20 years, how many of these people are we even going to think about? Really, especially in the card community. There's going to be some people who collect them forever, but like that's why when there's hype, I try to sell. That's just
Mark Mosley's the only.
This isn't buying and selling advice, but that's what I like to do.
Mark Mosley's the only kicker to ever win MVP.
Dude, he won MVP as a kicker. I didn't even know he was a kicker.
Yeah, he crushed it. He had like just crushed the scoring that year or whatever it was.
They should just not count that year of football then.
So Tim, it says he's currently in the senior category for consideration right now, Joe Theismann, but he's in the College Football Hall of Fame, just not the pro.
I just got a dope Joe Theismann card for my PC from BPL. So he's like a double PC because he went to Notre Dame and he was a Washington Redskins quarterback.
All right, so we have a couple questions. We're almost an hour in. We haven't even got to our topic tonight.
Yeah,
so
no, this is par for the course.
All right. So biggest pet peeve in the hobby right now? That was a question we got. What is your biggest pet peeve?
I'll let you guys go first.
Oh gosh, I gotta think.
I'll go first because I saw this earlier and I started thinking about it. I would say that I have a couple pet peeves. One is the cost of hobby boxes right now. They're just astronomical. Like it makes it more difficult when you have to pay $800 for the hobby box. Like normal family can't afford that. Like a lot of people have told me they struggle getting a $200, $300 hobby box. You know what I mean? So like getting these hobby boxes at $500, $800, $1,000. That's frustrating. Also, too, the disrespect I feel like non-licensed cards get because. If the card's cool, you like cards, who cares? It's like a cool looking card, man. And like if I have a Joe Montana autograph and I have a Joe Montana autograph in Topps, just because it's in Topps and one's in Leaf, there's going to be a 5 times X difference on price point. That shouldn't be a thing. You know what I mean? It's still Joe Montana, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, to autograph. So that's upsetting. But it's also good that I can also get Hall of Fame autographs for super cheap. So that would be my 2. What about you, Tim?
One touches. People putting in one touches and getting it for more money than what it should be. People putting base cards, paper Bowman base cards in one touches and trying to tell people that they should buy it when they absolutely shouldn't. One touches don't make your card more valuable. I'm not paying you an extra $3 for the one touch. Take it out and put it in a damn top loader.
Dude, I think the one touch guys, a lot of them are like 5-second sudden death guys. You know?
Yeah.
So you're just like, I don't have time to think. Bid. You know.
Yeah. The guy at the show that was trying to buy the collection from, trying to pull that on me. He's like, bro, he's like, there's like at least $300 on one touches just in these cards.
Yeah.
Cary's like, just take them out and lower it by $200 or whatever he said. I started laughing.
I hate one touches. I'll tell you what else I hate. I hate comps. I absolutely hate stupid comps.
I hate the reliance on comps because there's common sense behind it. I don't care what the last comp was. For example, I don't care as much about what the last comp is on a football card in the off season, right? Because it's going to go up in August when there's preseason talk and training camp. I
also hate. Hold on, I got a little bit of a list here.
Comps. You hate comps though? Why?
Because I think Cary clarified it. I hate the way that people try to use comps. Like, I hate comp police, different. Right? I hate how people try to selectively use comps. I hate how people think that comps are the end-all, be-all, right? Because you don't have any access to what cards are selling for in person. You don't have any access for what cards are selling for in live sales. You're only basing your comps off of eBay. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, or I guess some people use those stupid apps, Card Ladders and Market Movers and, college hunks hauling junk. They
can move your furniture.
I gotta say one thing with Tim just saying that, since we're not going to get a sponsorship for these stupid card apps, make sure you guys sign for a membership now. Because
I'd been emailing the college hunk guys, and now you screwed it up. Thank you, Tim.
Tim just pissed away any chance we had a sponsorship there, so please go subscribe to our membership now. Thanks, Tim.
Well, I mean, shout out. We're waiting for that top loader sponsorship. What's up with that, man?
Yeah. I'll tell you right up, Dunkin' Donuts, we don't want your money. We don't want
I don't know.
Money,
I love Dunkin' Donuts. Sausage,
Donuts.
Bacon, egg, and cheese croissant.
We do want your money.
Well, you're also a Wawa guy. Here's a Wawa guy now.
Yeah, I want Wawa to sponsor us.
Yes, I love Wawa.
I really do.
Yes, because you're there every day.
I live there.
Also, I hate tape. You hate tape? Can I have a second to say what I hate? Stop putting tape on everything. Like people who tape cards to cardboard, right? Like, what are we doing? I opened a card today, and it was painter's tape on both sides of the top loader, painter's tape on the top and the bottom of the top loader, taped to the cardboard. What are we doing? Put it in a team bag, put it between the two pieces of cardboard, put Scotch tape on that, and that's it. Put it in a bubble wrap it in a bubble mail. What are we doing?
No Scotch tape, bro. Scotch tape, yeah. Don't use Scotch tape.
No, you can use Scotch tape when you're taping the cardboard to the other piece of cardboard.
You put one card in here, and you put a tiny thing of painter's tape. That's all you need.
No, I don't need any tape on my top loaders. Stop taping top loaders. I hate it.
When I shipped him his top loaders, I stuck them all in one there, and I put one piece of tape across the top of all of them. So you only had to pull one piece of tape off, and then they were.
You know how I ship cards to Tim? I grab the card, I scrunch it up, and I put it in a poly bag.
There's
hate no
tape.
Protection the way you like it.
Stop using tape on everything. There's no need for it. Like, it's almost like people are just putting painter's tape on stuff. Like, I understand if you're using painter's tape for a reason, but now I feel like people just use painter's tape because they think it's cool. Like, it's part of the hobby. Like, I have to put painter's tape on everything. Stop it. Stop using tape on everything. It's the worst.
Tell me how you really feel right now, all right?
And don't write prices on top loaders either.
Oh, I
agree.
Bro,
you know what? You know what my pet peeve is?
What is this? What is this? Why are we doing this? We do not need to do this. This is unnecessary. Stop doing this. Stop.
Get a little glue gun. Put a little piece of.
My pet peeve is how much Tim cares about this segment. This is intense. I'm just kidding. I'm going to do one pet peeve, okay? And it's a big one though. Is it grading? Stop it. Thank you. Ooh. I think grading is so. I mean, I understand grading. I understand the whole, especially the flipping angle of it. I get it, and I know why people are into it. And I've thought about it, and I've flirted with getting into it myself. But I just don't care. about the grade of a card. I understand why people do it. I just really don't care though. I like the feeling of a raw card. I like the look of a raw card. I don't want to wait 6 months to get my cards back or 3 months. If grading was like a week and a half or something and was reasonable in charge, I maybe would consider it. But
Okay, listen, we'll run on this a little bit. One of my biggest pet peeves is people trying to tell me that PSA 9s are cheaper than raw cards. What are we doing? That's ridiculous.
It shows you that grading is just,
so it's
the
the
grading
opportunity
companies
cost.
are the ones winning here with all this grading.
Well, no, but there is a little nuance of what Tim just said there. Your opportunity cost is greater with a raw card compared to a 9, because if I buy that raw card, people will pay a premium for that over a 9 because the 9's already been graded, because they can submit that and have the opportunity.
So then we should just be buying. We should just sit on eBay all day long and buy 9s and crack them and sell them as raw.
That's what people do. I know people that will literally crack it. Like I had probably like a while back, I got like a Tom Brady. This is right when he retired. Something that was like a 7 or something like that. And I was like, well, if I go to sell this to the 7, I was like, I'm gonna crack it and just put it up as raw. I sold it for raw, and it probably sold for 25, 50 bucks more, because
a PSA 8 is technically near mint, right?
Yeah,
that is literally the categorization, which means it's almost mint.
So we
near mint or better. That's
and
what
I
it
shouldn't
is.
have to pay the grading company more money to grade my card if it's worth more money.
Yes, you should.
Why?
Because they have to insure it. So if a card's a 50, I agree with you for a long time, but if the card's $50, they have to insure that package. So if you're sending a card that's
Do you know how much money it costs to insure?
How about this, man? We don't have to pay the
they're
grading
charging
companies
you
at all,
thousands
'cause
of
it doesn't
dollars.
matter.
They're charging you thousands of dollars more if it's worth more money. It costs them $100 to insure a card for $10,000.
I agree with you. I think there should be. I don't think they should charge us as much as they do, but I think they should charge a premium because they do have to pay. There is extra liability with
Then
that.
charge me insurance. Don't charge me more money and upcharge because my card is worth more money. That's stupid.
So I agree with you to a point on that one. Absolutely.
Also, stop putting 5,000 cards in Prism base set of guys that have no business having cards in 2025. Stop doing that.
Look, don't advertise as 3 autos in a box or 2 autos in the box. If they're, more than likely you're going to get just a random player from yesteryears as one of the autos.
Yeah, I don't want a Bruce. I love you, Bruce, but I don't want a Bruce Matthews autograph.
I'll tell you what I want a Bruce Matthew autographs, I think, have a place in 2025 in the hobby, but they should be like 1 auto per box in the blaster boxes. That's that kind of stuff, in my opinion. They have some value. But, I mean, we're not buying high-end hobby much, right? But if you're buying high-end hobby, and I know a lot of people do this because I watch the videos, you're spending big money on these boxes, hoping for Jaden or whatever, and you're getting... I mean, I love Eric Metcalf or whoever, but if you're getting those autographs, it's a big disappointment.
Bruce Matthews is a Hall of Famer, at least.
He is.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
1,000. That's why I said there's nothing against Bruce, and I agree with what Cary's saying. There's a place for him in the hobby, but it's like it gets a little aggressive over time when they're putting all these autos in these boxes and then charging people thousands of dollars for them, right? It's kind of crazy. Also, to all the companies out here, who are sponsoring people, I'm tired of you sponsoring the same people all the time that don't know anything about sports cards, but pretend to know stuff about sports cards. If you're going to spend your money and you want people to buy your products, then invest in people that take the time to know everything and really pour their heart into the hobby, because it's getting a little ridiculous. I'm tired of seeing the same faces covering the same events over and over again, and the content is boring. Let's get some new, fresh blood in here. People that actually care about sports and know about sports. That'd be great. Thanks.
The problem with that is, though, it's going to be based off the size of their audience. If they were able to build an audience, they have followers there. You may not like them, but at the same point in time, is
they're businesses. They want as many eyeballs on whatever they're selling as possible. So that's
but some of these people are just straight jabronis, and I'm tired of it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That
salty.
advertisement is not working on you.
I am salty. I
I didn't know.
I can do a better job than 90% of these people that you guys are paying money to, and
you're going to be more entertaining on top of it.
So just Stop
I
it.
agree.
Maybe because you're just so bitter. Maybe that's why they haven't reached out to you.
I'm not bitter.
You just said you're bitter. You just said
I said I was
bitter.
salty. I said I was salty.
Same thing.
But
Same
yeah, okay.
thing.
I could do an entire hour on this, so I'm gonna stop. But yeah,
no, it's
fun.
good.
This has been a way better segment than I.
Oh yeah, I'm going to push Fanatics Fest the next week. Screw it. At this point,
we have to go. Fanatics Fest.
Yeah, let's talk about Fanatics Fest.
Okay. Do you have any more questions? Though?
Yeah, we do.
Rapid fire.
All right. So, P. Cassie says, "There's anyone that we collect that you may have gone to high school with, or that may have gone pro." So is it
a good question,
dude? I went to one of the worst schools in the world for sports. So no. Shout out to my boy Serge Sajor. He was Authentic's cousin. He played a football with us, and he went to Howard, and then he played in the CFL, and then signed with the Washington Redskins at the time. But didn't make it past that first contract. So, but he did play in the CFL for a while. So, big shout out to Serge.
What about you, Cary? Anybody?
I didn't really go to. I went to high school with other people who became YouTube people, but not sports people. But Dawn went to Clearfield High School for a bit, and junior high in that area of Utah. And she went with all of the Dyson brothers, if you remember Kevin. Andre Dyson,
the vacuum guys.
Yeah, no, yeah, they might be part of that too. But no, she went to school with Andre and Kevin Dyson, and their oldest brother, who also played at the University of Utah, Patrick Dyson. He didn't make it to the NFL, but yeah.
So I didn't go to high school with anyone, but there's people that when I was with the fight company, I was on tour with them. People don't know I was on tour with the MMA company for several years. I was director of marketing, and I competed in grappling tournaments and other stuff. But there was a guy that was signed was locally. I used to train with sometimes, Chris Barnett. And then he got signed by the UFC. If you guys have never seen him, go on YouTube and watch Chris Barnett. He's 5'9". He fights at heavyweight. But man, this he can do flips. He does all kind of crazy stuff. And he just throws haymakers. He's one of the most entertaining people you'll see in the UFC right now. Chris
Barnett.
What was
that
look him up.
WWE wrestler you were showing me the other day?
JC Jane. Yeah. So I trained with her at Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling, and I used to hang out with her a bunch of times at shows and stuff like that. She's currently the NXT champion. She's won that. So I have people for that. I'll collect Jay Lethal, because Jay Lethal, who's in AEW, he's my wrestling trainer who trained me to do professional wrestling. So I have stuff like that I collect just because of personal connections with people.
I just remembered somebody. I went to high school with a PGA guy that played on the tour for a while, Daniel Summerhays.
So you collect him?
I don't know if he has cards, but he came in fourth in the U.S. Open several years ago, something like that. But he's not on the tour anymore. But his granddad was on the tour forever, or his dad or uncle, one of those. The whole family's a major deal with golf.
So Rose Rips, who's retired, listens to the podcast, says that he's got back in the cards because he starts opening cards with his family now, the kids, the grandkids, and their kids and stuff like that. But he said that we have given him the bargain box bug. So top 3 recommendations for starting out with bargain boxes.
Can I give number one? Number one, go out and dig. The best thing you can do if you want to be a bargain box digger, and it's just like any job, you can consider it a job, or anything you do for fun, you have to practice. And there's no way to learn more than literally just going through a box, and especially when you're new, and everything that looks interesting. And I know it takes time, but think of it this way, as a learning process. Oh, this looks interesting. Let's look it up on eBay or whatever app you're using. Okay, this looks interesting. Let's look it up. Buy stuff. Take some small... The thing about bargain boxes, too, is you can take some chances on low, because it's low dollar stuff, and see if your gut is right. But I've learned so much in the last couple years doing content. I didn't realize how much I didn't know until I started really getting hardcore into it. I wasn't going to the bargain boxes as much, the last decade. I was at flea markets buying cards, and I was buying cards here and there. But I got super into it in the last 3 or 4 years with what I've been doing at card shows, and I've learned a ton.
Speak about not knowing. Apparently, Cary doesn't know what rapid fire means. So we'll just round robin this real fast.
That was a very Tim answer there.
Yeah, it was a very Tim answer.
My bad.
My tip for you would be rapid fire. So when you're at a card show, you quickly look through the whole stack in front of it. Turn that stack over real fast and just go through the back, because you will find your number cards there that you did not know.
Minecraft cards?
Yeah, these are Minecraft cards. You'll see that on my channel very soon. I ripped open the blaster box. Tim?
And color blast?
No color blast.
My tip is always bigger. Always Bill.
Next. That's
Always
rapid fire, dude. I love it, dude. I felt it. I know what you meant.
Always build a pile. Always build a pile. Build a stack. And always ask before you build the stack. If I build a stack, can we work out a deal?
Why can't you mess up when you guys are doing your stupid name game? When it comes to like important information, you can't even talk. Like, what is going on with you two today?
Pascual Perez.
Like, what is going on? What is going on? All right, Cary, back to you. Trying to redeem yourself. What's a good tip you got?
I just for bargain boxes.
What?
Do you not know what topic we're talking about?
What was the question? We were talking about
we
bargain
answered.
box.
You got to get the third one.
Yeah,
I gave the long answer. You gave.
He gave one answer. I gave one answer. You got to give the
other
answer.
You haven't done one yet. What you talked about numbers on the back.
Oh, he did give one.
So
that's
it's
three.
Next question.
Yeah,
am I
next
doing
question.
2 rounds?
Yeah, that's 3. One from each of us.
Come on, you're the host.
I thought you said you had a bunch of them. You just talked for like 2 hours.
No, but you said rapid fire.
No,
we got to talk about Fanatics Fest.
We haven't even gotten to the topic yet. It's an hour and 15
This is a record, all-time record.
This is a record, guys. This is a record. So for the 10 people still listening, it's because now we finally just got to the topic. I think there was a card show this weekend, I've been told. None of us were there, but Fanatics Fest.
Yeah, I love how we're going to talk about Fanatics Fest.
People are going to be so mad.
But that's what
it's going to be fantastic.
We just save it for the end of this, you know what I mean? But no, there's a lot of interesting things that happen at Fanatics Fest. For those who don't know, it's not a card show. It's not
they advertised it as a card show.
No, they don't. They
did this year. Yes, they did.
Where does it say that on the website? Card show?
1,000% they advertised it as a card show this year.
They advertised it to different people different ways would be my
They
guess.
used the word card show in an advertisement. I saw it. I've been going back and forth about it with people online.
Fanatics Fest was a dream for manufactured moments, allegedly. I want to say everything alleged because I don't want to get in trouble, but it's just everything they said. There was some organic moments, which we'll talk about. You could tell they were legitimately organic, but it was just one thing. That's what... I actually thought they did a really good job. I came in super skeptic and left going, I'm actually kind of a little bit impressed by it, to be completely fair. I think they did a great job overall. But there were just so many things that they put out that you knew they were just trying to set up a moment, right?
Okay, do you have your most cringe, staged moment?
That's good.
Did you just say you went into it not expecting a lot, but then you left there knowing that like you got a lot, like you were actually there, like you just made a statement how numbers were there, and you're like,
no, I meant watching it, like,
okay.
Yeah, I wasn't there. No,
what's the most cringe moment you saw from Fanatics Fest online?
The Kevin Durant moment. Did you guys see this? This was actually organic, though.
Yeah.
The person threw up the jersey, and Kevin was being cool. He's like, I'll sign it. And then after he caught it, he caught the pin from the guy too. People threw up like 5 other items. He got hit by a basketball and a shoe.
I didn't see that. I did see he was on stage, literally about ready to do a panel when he found out he got traded to the Rockets.
But there was just like people walking around, like I'll just say it, the Jeff Wilson video where where Alex Rodriguez was walking around, making card deals, or the Kevin Hart selling only short players.
Oh, that was set up.
Set up.
But that's
the most cringe one I saw was the what's her name, Liv Dovey?
Yeah, Livy Dunn, where she bought
Livy
Paul Skeens.
Yeah, when she was buying the Paul Skeens. That's the absolute most cringe. Like, it is 1,000% staged. Like, it is just so bad. That, and I think the Victor Wembanyama buying the Star Wars card was a little cringe too. But yeah, all those moments are all. Listen, I don't want to say that because allegedly. But
allegedly, everything we say is alleged.
It comes off extremely staged. The Livy Dunn one is the worst, though. Like, I was watching that, and like nothing against her.
We're all talking about it, so it's doing its job,
exactly.
whether it was cringe or not.
The people at home that have no idea what we're referring to. The Fanatics Fest was in New York this past weekend. It's the Comic-Con of sports. So they have like sporting games, they have card shows set up, they have dealers there, but it's more of a celebrities. You get to interact and there's nothing like that in the card industry. So,
but do you really get to interact with the celebrities? Who gets to interact with the celebrities?
All the autograph lines?
Yeah, and how much does that cost?
There's autograph lines at the National. There's more people doing autographs, dude, at the National.
Yeah.
And then they have, what's the difference? There's a couple differences. There's a lot of differences. But the guys are walking around with a giant security team. And then a couple people are trying to sell cards to him. I guess that's organic, and then they're getting ignored or getting a small comment back or something. But
yeah.
Well, the Libby Dunn thing was funny because that guy was like, the last comp was $2,200 or something like that, and he's like, yeah, I'm asking 3,000. She's like, but wasn't the last comp 2,200? I don't think he knew that she was going to say that. I don't know or not, but so maybe the first part with her, letting her know like the comps and stuff like that were. But I mean, I'm sure Topps gave all these celebrities money to go buy cards on the floor so they can use it as content.
For
you know what I mean? So at that point, they don't care about that. So you go from there, and then the Kevin Hart thing was, I thought the Kevin Hart thing was funny because they had a whole booth set up for him that just had selling short cards, and they had Spud Webb there. I mean, that was 100% set up, but it was a comedy skit.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, and it was, I mean, it's not even like it was bad or anything. It just was like I felt pandered to. Like they were pandering, like it was just all this stuff that they think that we want to see, and maybe we do. Some of it I did, I guess, but I don't know. I think there's with social media, because I love doing social media, and we all do to a certain extent. I think there's a big craving in the community for authenticity, like real events
100%.
happening. And a lot of them happened at Fanatics Fest, like a lot of them. And those are the ones I think that will, stick with people, I hope, over time.
Did you guys look at the Fanatics games? Are you guys familiar with the whole concept behind there?
And of course, it was all the same people that I was just telling you I'm tired of seeing on being the sponsors for everything were the ones that were competing, right? Like,
I mean, you had people like Speed, who has like 40 million followers on social media. You had like Logan Paul was there. You had Tom Brady. But then they took 50, average Joes that just
but the 50 average Joes weren't average Joes. They were influencers. A lot of them. A
few of them were. I think some of them were kind of random too, though.
Well, the guy. So Tom Brady won it all. So he took first. So he won the $1 million. The Justin Gaethje from UFC took second, I think, in it. And then
I would have won that. No questions
you would have.
asked.
Absolutely not. No. And then a teacher though from Pennsylvania.
No? Rod,
look at you. You would none of
you trophies back here.
I'm talking.
I got medals.
I know. As you were trying to get the puck into one of the dryer or the washer, you would have pulled every muscle in your back and your.
Bro, I would have smashed everybody in that.
No, you would not.
Bro, I'm a world-class athlete, Rod.
On what level?
I will pick up any sport you want me to show you how to play. I can do it. I can play basketball, football, golf, hockey.
Show me how to do jiu-jitsu.
What's that?
Jiu-jitsu.
But that wasn't one of the ones that had no part in Fanatics Fest.
Oh, you're talking about the games at Fanatics Fest.
Yes.
You're talking about. Okay, all right. So, but there's a teacher that was he was 39 years old from Pennsylvania, took third, so he got the $250,000.
Good for him.
LeBron James. But here's the interesting thing: they had 50 athletes, 50 average Joes, something like that. They had
Do you remember that show, Average Joe's? Average Joe's.
Yeah, I remember.
Pros?
I think that's where they got the concept from. To be honest with you,
the concept from. They don't think of anything by themselves.
Eli Manning was in the top 10, and then James Harden, and then I think 6 out of the top 10 people were non-athletes. So which I thought was pretty cool on that. So, but did you actually watch any of the games? Like people actually going through? Like it's actually kind of funny, man. Like they're just like.
Look, I mean, here's the thing. Like when I first heard it, I was like, but I can't really blame them for trying something, and it worked. I think they'll continue to do it. It wasn't a bad idea, so
it was a great idea.
Look,
I think it
1,000%. I would take my kid to Fanatics Fest.
Yes,
right.
100%.
That's the point,
but
right?
Like, I'm not going to Fanatics Fest as an adult card bargain boxer.
100%.
Right. I'm going to National. I'm not going to Fanatics Fest. When my kid's old enough, I would 1,000% love to take my kid there because it would be absolutely awesome. If I was a kid, I would want to go to Fanatics Fest.
Bro, but I'm a grown ass man. I want to go to Fanatics Fest.
I don't. That
looked like fun.
I don't. I mean, I kind of a little bit wouldn't mind going, but I would if I had to choose National or Fanatics Fest because I'm a card person overall. I would pick National every single time
for cards. But I mean, I think it's a cool concept overall.
I don't need to wait in line to same with the National. I don't need to wait in line for some dude's auto. I don't care.
Yeah, no. I mean,
but I want to buy their autos in a bargain box.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's time and place for all that stuff. I think that's both good, but I think it's good. The Fanatics Fest is good for them to bring in the common person that likes sports. That's maybe this gets them introduced to cards, introduced to stuff in a different way that they normally wouldn't have.
I wish there was a way to measure a metric to measure the success rate of that.
Yeah, as we see product growing and as we see more and more money being dumped in industry is the only thing that's going to really be able to dictate or really give us a true value of what's going on with the sport.
Because I would love to see more sports people in cards.
Yeah.
And less card people in cards.
I would love. I wish more and more. I mean, you had that with baseball, but you had that with baseball. You get a lot of people in baseball now that are starting to move into sports.
Well, not necessarily athletes, but I mean, like, I would love to see the card market. Let me rephrase this because Cary was completely thrown off by my comment. I would like to see a more of a realistic reflection of the sports in the card market.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? Because like you have so many of these people who are telling everybody that these people are the hype and they don't know anything about it. You have ton of these people who are opening up boxes and have no idea who they're
I hate to tell you though, man, but the card market currently, and this is just my opinion, it's hype driven. You know this, like it's not always about stats, especially like think about Jacob Wilson, who's pretty or not. Yeah, Jacob Wilson, he's pretty hot right now. He's second in the league in batting average. He keeps this up, right? He continues to be a perennial 300, 340 hitter. In 6 years, his cards, I can't foresee in this market his cards being worth any more. They're probably going to be worth less. And the only thing that's changed is he's proven he's like a borderline Hall of Famer at that point if he can keep it up, right?
Yeah.
So like it's all about the hype of the moment. It feels like, and I could be wrong, the hype of the moment. He's a young guy. What's the potential that he can be? That's what I'm saying. Like Victor Wembanyama could be getting MVPs, and I don't know if he would ever be worth more than he was worth his rookie year, ever.
So let me ask you this: when you guys were getting into the hobby, how did you guys eventually get in? Like my dad bought cards, and I opened cards with my dad. That's how I got into the hobby. So like, what was like for you two then?
I mean, like, I was a sports junkie, like my growing up. Like that's what I did. I played sports.
But how did you get your first cards? Like who introduced you to cards though? Because you just
my dad took me to House of Cards.
Okay. Your dad did. Okay.
My brother gave me his shoebox.
Your brother gave you a shoebox. Okay. So I think maybe a big problem we have with cards is like if no one starts them off in sports knowing about this, how are they supposed to learn about this? So do you think that the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, when they do like their rookie camps, they need to make them say, hey, learn and say, hey, this is part of the Major League Baseball agreement. Like, hey, we have a huge deal with Topps. Well, here's a crash course, a 20-minute part of your orientation into sports, orientation to the world. Say, hey, this is a big one of our partners. This is what this stuff's potentially worth, stuff like that. Do you think they have a responsibility to do that to the players? No?
I don't want it forced on the people.
Okay. But then how do we grow more people in sports involved into the hobby league?
Rod, if you're already upset about the cost of a hobby box right now, I think the last thing we want to do is bring more people in here who want more cards. And
guys, I hate to break it to you. Once again, personal opinion. The hobby isn't getting 10x, guys. It's just not going to happen.
No, but it has potential to 2x.
Yeah,
easily.
There's a reasonable goal.
Yeah, I mean, it has potential for growth. As we talked about, we don't even have a national card shop throughout the U.S. I mean, Tom, we talked about,
Aren't they trying to do that? Like, I've been watching that Card Vault by Tom
Card Vault, they're opening one new shop a month. Yeah.
YouTube show. It's pretty interesting. I mean, but there's good and bad to that. But I think, if they can keep singles in, like, there's something, I don't know. Like, those shops work for like collectors really well, but it's hard for flippers because if they're pricing everything perfectly, right, with the market, then there's nothing you can do except speculate.
But how big of the market is compared to collectors versus flippers, though, too? I mean, I know there's a big gray area that we cross over, but I mean, is the market designed for a collector? Is it designed for a flipper? That's the question. I mean, because back in the day, it was designed for the collector. The market has changed with all the inserts, breaking, everything else.
Then why were we sure? Maybe there was more collectors back then, but how many of you guys read Beckett back in the day? Did you read Beckett?
All of us.
So why were you reading Beckett? For the articles or to see what your cards were worth?
Well, just like Playboy, you read for the articles.
Exactly. I read exactly. That's what you tell people.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. It's always been about, since I've been a kid, it's always been about what the cards. There was no magical time in the 90s where everybody was a collector. We collected more a little bit, I feel like, but also it was harder to move the cards unless you went to card shows.
I saw an interesting tweet. I'll ask you guys. And I replied to this. And I'll tell you what I replied, but I'm curious what you guys have to say. I saw somebody on Twitter say, does the hobby need the collector to be the end user, or is it sustainable with the gambling of breaks and repacks?
That's a good
It's
question.
a good point. Like, it's the same with flippers though too, but I don't think for.
Well, Tim, why don't you take this one first? Let us think about this one.
Well, I said 100% the collector is the end game. I said breaks will always be around because it's great for people who don't want to buy whole boxes. The douchebags will eventually scam themselves out. Repacks, on the other hand, will fade away soon. Collectors are the heart of the hobby. That's what my answer was.
That's one thing you notice, like dealing with baseball a lot, is there are a lot of team collectors. Like, and I get more in touch with that when I'm like on buysportscards.com and people are buying, 3 or 4 Mets or whatever. Like I sold 2 Mets to one person. I know, I just know that at the price point they're probably collectors. They just wanted those 2 guys, for sets or whatever. But I think flipping is a huge part of this. I mean, and it's what I am personally really enjoy about the hobby is the flipping angle.
Well, I think the collectors create the baseline. That's what we need. We need a baseline, because if we're all just flippers, we're going to go to the card shows and we're all going to undercut each other or try to go lower and lower down. But the collector is buying those cards at creating that baseline that uses the comp. So that they're gonna make that baseline sustainable one way or another, up or down, based on how that player's doing, how the team's doing. But I think it's not and or. It's going to be both at this point.
That might be the real benefit of expanding, the reach of the hobby, right? Like having these people come in that are not into it because of flipping, but they have disposable money and they want to collect, right? So you're bringing the people that are not die hard going to card shows flipping, right? You just bring in the person who, like, I'm a Mets fan. I went to Fanatics Fest. I picked up some Mets cards, and now I'm going to go on eBay or wherever, and I'm going to buy some more. I'm going to go to card shows. So that's a fringe benefit, or a very real benefit of having these big shows over time, hopefully.
I asked ChatGPT, give us a breakdown. It was like, what is the percentage versus flippers versus collectors in the percentage? So they actually broke it down to 3 separate categories. So there's no definitive answer to this, but based on the information they received in the last couple of years, they said a collector only buys to keep and builds his PC personal collection or invests in long term. A flipper.
Let me ask you that before you continue.
Yeah.
People. I feel like the investors and collectors are 2 different things, and I feel like flippers and investors are 2 different things.
Yes.
Well, and I feel like, but there's people out here in the hobby that want to try and merge investors into collectors or merge investors into flippers when they're all completely different things. I just want to put that out there.
So they define the flipper only as a buys purely to resell a short-term profit, raw or graded. And then the third category, they broke it down to hybrid. Hybrid sells to support the hobby, funds grading, upgrades his collection. So pretty much a collector only, a flipper only, or a hybrid. So they put the collector only as 40 to 50%, like half the market. The flipper resellers to 20 to 25%, and then the hybrid flipper collectors 25 to 35%. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, I feel like that could be. I mean, that's a good definition of those in a way.
I would think that if you were to ask me to place it in those 3 categories, I would think the hybrid would be the biggest number, more so than collector.
I think what we see at card shows is a small fraction of the actual market. The overall share of the market, because I think a lot of people that we see are only, like we talked about before, are only going to Walmart or Target to buy their cards. You know what I mean?
That is. I see that all the time doing the kind of content I do with the retail rips. Is there so many casual, like they're just, they're working their 9 to 5 and they open up boxes because they enjoy it. They are aware that the cards, they're definitely looking for the hot cards, but they may never even post them if they get them. They just go, I got a card worth $300, and they, like we did when we were kids, or at least I did. Like I would have my cards in pages. I would put stickers saying how much the card was worth, and I probably never really checked it again. And I think a lot of people are like that.
We had a big deal at the Fanatics Fest. Cards
we're on the same page, Rod.
Roth Cards actually, of course, because we're all one here, or like one giant head. Yeah,
exactly.
But Roth Cards actually sold the Jaden Daniels 101 to the owner of the Commanders for $500,000. Originally, though, I think he was asking $2 million.
I don't know if was that what he was really asking.
I don't know.
Or
That's
just
what I
throw
read.
The number out because I saw the clip and I heard him say it. He was like, "Well, Paul Skeens did 1.1 million. Jaden should be 2 million." And then somebody was like, "That was a debut patch, bro. What's the real number?"
So what are your thoughts on that,
was Ruben, wasn't it, that said that?
Was it Ruben who said it?
I think it might have been. There was a lot of people up on stage.
Yeah. I thought it was a cool moment. I 1,000% would have taken the deal.
Yeah.
It's funny because they were talking about it on the radio when I was in the car on the way here back home to record, and the guy had no idea. He knew nothing about cards who was talking about it, but he's a big, he does sports radio for a living.
So he's one of those guys that's an influencer that shouldn't be talking about cards.
No, he's not an influencer. He's a sports card. He's a sports radio host.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
So like, it was interesting to me because he was kind of thrown away from it, thrown back by it because Josh Harris bought it to display it at the stadium. And so like he was asking, he's like, how many fans really care to see that? And like, for me, it was interesting to hear somebody who's so engaged in the world of sports, but not engaged in cards at all. He's like, I don't collect anything.
That's the interesting thing. If there is a way, and Fanatics might be the only real legitimate path to this, if there's a way to really unlock the fervent sports fans that do not care about cards, which there is millions, billions across the globe, right? Like that sport, because you're right, the sports radio guy knows the Commanders, right? Backwards, forwards, every way, and doesn't really even know about sports cards, let alone care. If you can get those people to care, that is a game changer. That would change the the ability.
But didn't it used to be like that? Like, wasn't it a big deal for us as a kid to get a rookie card of your favorite player?
Yes.
Like, it seemed like that was hand in hand growing up. Like, where's the disconnect from that everything era to now?
It's because it's so easy to sell cards nowadays. When we were kids, dude, if you got for me, I grew up in SoCal, so if I got a Tim Salmon rookie, how was I going to sell that legitimately, right? You'd put something out in the newspaper. I'd have to get my dad's approval or whatever. You could go to the card shop and try to sell it, right? Or you could go to a card.
See, I was selling at flea markets when I was
flea markets or something like that. But it was kind of a hard thing to do or to gauge.
Well, you wouldn't sell it back then. You would trade it back then to something.
Yeah, you would trade 100%. That's a great point. You would trade.
See, I never traded cards.
You never traded cards, really?
No, never traded cards.
Oh, that's all I did. That's all I did.
So. But nowadays, this is the difference that I think people don't understand or don't think about as much. Like these kids growing up that were, teenagers, 12, 13, 14, 15, whatever, they could, with their parents' approval on eBay, they could post it, they can go to card shows. There's 1,000 ways to easily sell these cards now and make a profit. It changes everything. If we had it, we're lying to ourselves. If we had that in 1993, that we wouldn't have done the exact same thing. We would have.
Still to this day, it blows my mind when I'm standing at a card table and I see a kid walk up who's 12 years old, 14 years old, puts his little case on the table, opens it up.
One card's worth more than everything I have.
Yeah, his collection, he's pulling out like $500 card, $300. How much is this one? $300. How much is this one? $1,200. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, my box full of dollar cards.
Yeah, maybe they know what we don't know.
Remember the kid from Trade Night at National? Remember the kids came over and sat down with us and everything like that, and they had the cases. So one of those kids is a local kid here. So I see him at the card shows all the time, and he's grown a lot from last year. And like he has like a suitcase now, like a travel suitcase.
Oh, dang.
And he pulls up to the table. And he like lifts up the back and he sits on it and he's just wheeling and dealing. And I saw him at the card show this weekend. I was like, "You going to NASA this year?" He's like, "Hell yeah, man." And I was just like, it's so crazy to me to think that he was like at our table, like talking with us, like, selling some cards and we were buying some cards and that. And now like he's like 10x his level of
those are like the
selling.
Those are the kids, the people. I love hearing about it too, but those are the people those are my least favorite people to negotiate with because they know they're like so much ahead of us in so many ways because they grew up on this social media and everything that they're fluent in everything that, market movers, everything, whatever we do or don't like, right? They're just fluent in everything. Comps this, comp that. It's tough to negotiate with they're just so hyper understanding of everything that's going on because that's all they've known. Yeah. They didn't have 20 years of what we had to deal with, which was good or bad, to relearn to do it in modern times like we've had to do. They have a big advantage, honestly.
Back in the day when you were negotiating comps is where you were comparing tough stuff to Beckett pricing. Like,
what is tough stuff?
Tough stuff,
no.
bro?
No.
Tough Stuff.
Wait,
was
how are you
like
in charge of that?
Kmart. It was like Kmart Beckett. It was like
I'd never heard of that before in my
You
life.
never heard of Tough Stuff? Really?
Dude,
I'm like shocked. That was like the
dude,
that was like the PSA's number one.
We should print shirts. That should be our merch. How could you not have heard of Tough Stuff?
Oh my God.
How could you be in cards and not know what Tough Stuff is?
I was Beckett. The card shop that I grew up going to only had Beckett's. I can literally in my mind visualize it now on like this turnstile that like magazine holder that had all the Beckett's.
Just getting livid because Dave Magadan is on the cold list. You're like, what the hell, dude? He's a Mets Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer.
There are people that still use Beckett for comps,
dude. Those I love.
Those people I love.
Yeah, they're the ones. Yeah, it's just it's fascinating that people still use it.
Tough, TUFF, Tough Stuff. Go look it up then later on, man.
But they were the cool kids.
They were like super thick books. They're like twice as thick.
Because they did all the sports a lot of times.
Yeah,
they combined the sports.
So were they like almanacs? I think I seen like the sports card.
No, it was a monthly thing.
No, it was a monthly thing, and they would do like insert cards sometimes in them, and like all kind of other stuff.
Yeah, they'd have cards in them. You could, I remember that.
I mean, I was Beckett 100%. Like I was live or die by Beckett, but like you also had Tough Stuff out there, and I would get Tough Stuff sometimes because it was just interesting articles or other stuff in there. So
Tough Stuff was like the one you'd get if you didn't have a Beckett available. Yeah.
Would you guys have taken the $500,000 for the cards? For the card, the Jaden Daniels card?
I mean, what did you pay? But yes, I would have. Yes.
So you get the $500,000.
There's a moment there too. Rob was smart. He realized that was an epic moment.
Yeah, and the autographed Jaden Daniels jersey too, which he is obviously going to keep because he's a Commanders fan.
So depends what he paid for it. I'm assuming he probably paid.
He paid more than he paid because he said that Serena Williams' husband had a $250,000 bounty out for that card, and they paid more. They outbid him, so they paid at least $260,000 for the card.
Probably 300,000, probably some of that ballpark. I'm assuming.
I'm telling you though, like maybe like I would probably for that kind of a moment I'd break even. First off, it's a big chunk of money coming back into your what you're doing.
Oh,
but that's just 100%. A great moment. That was cool. It's something that people were
knowing that
was organic, I believe.
And that's my point too. Is like that's probably one of the best organic moments from the clips. Like no matter how you feel about a guy like Roth Cards, who I've kind of come around a little bit on after listening to him on the Card Collectors 2 podcast. But I mean it's a cool moment. It was super organic. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, I'm sure he could get tickets to go to the Commanders whenever he wanted to go see his card. Now, if he reached out and tried or something like that, you know what I mean? Like after the deal, like I just think it's a cool moment. But Jaden's only had 1 year in the NFL. Why wouldn't you take that? Like, look at Mac Jones. Like, Mac Jones was $100,000 card.
Whoa! Pump the brakes. We are not comparing Jaden Daniels to Mac Jones.
Allegedly, we are. All right. So if something could happen, but I mean, it's how many times have people had a sophomore year slump? You know what I mean? It happened to Jalen Hurts. Had to C.J. Stroud. Happened to a lot of people.
That's a bad thing. C.J. Stroud didn't have a sophomore slump. He just didn't have the same season as he did. There's a big difference between not duplicating one of the best seasons a rookie quarterback has ever had and having a sophomore slump.
So you would say his sophomore year, his numbers went on a downward slide down. Then they slumped. So if I'm looking at a graphic chart, they'd be slumping down.
The numbers performed in a slump-like manner.
Yes.
You don't want to get into football talk with me.
I am stating facts.
Okay. Briefly, before we do this, because this is a long episode. It's one of our best episodes.
I'm going to say it. Here's my football hot take. The forward pass changed the game.
Okay, I want to know. I put out my because Yahoo Sports put out their top 10 quarterback list and did not include Jaden Daniels in their top 10 quarterback list in the NFL, which caused a huge uproar, obviously locally here. Yeah. But they said that their reasoning was because they didn't want to put him on the list because he only had played 1 year. Okay?
I agree.
So I decided I was going to put out my top 10 quarterback list, and I want to know what you guys' thoughts are, and let us know in the comment section below. This is a great way to see.
You're a homer for the Commanders, so we can't take that ranking.
No, I'm not a homer. But listen, this is also a good test to see who's still listening this far into the podcast. Tell us below what your thoughts are on my top 10 quarterback list. All right, number 1, I have Lamar Jackson, best quarterback in the NFL. Number 2, I have Josh Allen.
I would have probably put him number 1.
Number 3, Jaden Daniels. Number
Jeez,
4,
no way.
Patrick Mahomes. Number 5, Joe Burrow. Number 6, Justin Herbert. Number 7, Jalen Hurts. Number 8, Jared Goff. Number 9, Baker Mayfield. And number 10, Jordan Love. And my guys that were right on the cusp that I was thinking about putting in at number 10 was Stroud, Stafford, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Aaron Rodgers, and Geno Smith.
So, not saying this because I'm a homer, but how does Jalen Hurts gets no respect?
He doesn't. You know I'm a big Jalen Hurts guy.
I know you are. And but yet you don't have him in your top 5 because
how do you have Jaden Daniels above Patrick Mahomes? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Okay, also let me clarify this. This is my top 10 list entering this season.
So how do you have a Super Bowl quarterback who's pretty much has his entire team coming back again and not have him in the top 5? I don't understand.
I
want to hear your logic on this.
I struggled with it. I really did because I like Jalen Hurts a lot.
Not even you have him at 7.
Yeah.
Not even the cusp. Not even at 6.
I think that all those guys are pretty interchangeable. Obviously, if you look at my list, I'm a little biased towards quarterbacks that run, and Jalen Hurts can do that, but he is not Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, or Jaden Daniels anymore. He's not.
No, 100%. I agree with you on that, but he has a better offensive line than them. I'm talking about the best quarterback. I'm not talking about the best offensive line, stuff like that. Yeah, but if you have the best, so that's like comparing Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders about the best running back. Emmitt Smith.
I would take Barry Sanders over Emmitt Smith any day of the week.
I agree with you on that. Okay, I agree with you on that. But what I'm saying though is you have to factor in Emmitt Smith wouldn't be probably in that conversation if he didn't have that offensive line all those years in Dallas.
But would we have seen how good Barry Sanders was if he had a good offensive line? Because a lot of what we saw from Barry Sanders that made us remember Barry Sanders was because his offensive line was so bad.
But also
he was to be elusive.
But they're running a zone offense though too. So that also plays into it where he had to pick and choose his hold throughout a lot of those things.
So your biggest problem with the list is Jalen Hurts is too low.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I mean I agree with you. A lot of those quarterbacks are interchangeable. I wouldn't put Jaden Daniels in the top 5. And just based off you're gonna say best quarterback, he's only had 1 year and the track record of the other people that you put.
But we're talking. I'm eliminating track record.
No, I
so
get that.
Super Bowl wins don't have really anything to do with it.
I get that to a point, but you have to How can you eliminate track record? Then you're going to sit there and say is that they're better runner, that Jalen Hurts is not in the same running style or the same running level of them. If you're not going to base off his body of work.
I mean, is there going to be anybody in the comments who thinks Jaden's top 3? Really?
Yeah, next season. That's a homer. That's
a homer move. I think he's great, and I think there's a possibility that he is. But I just feel like I've seen so many rookie quarterbacks have hot first seasons, and then coming into the next season not be the same because people adjust, right?
Cary would have him.
I want Jaden to be great. I want the Commanders to do well. I want them to lose in the NFC Championship game against the Jaguars every year, forever. I'm fine with that.
Do you have in the top 10? Do you have Jaden? There's a lot.
I'm a big Jags fan now.
Yeah, but the Jaguars are in the AFC.
AFC, yeah.
No, I want in the Super Bowl though.
There you go.
I need to remember what conference they're in so I can be a big fan.
Because
how did I
think he's a big fan there. So, but do you have him in the top 10? Do you have Jaden Daniels in the top 10? Cary?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would say probably more like 7, 8 though.
Yeah, I would put him top 10. I put him top 10. I'd think about Geno Smith. He's so criminally underrated.
Yeah, he was.
But I mean, I'm also, to be fair, not as into this detail oriented and know everything going on like Tim does. So Tim knows a lot more about this than me. So I would defer to his rankings and a lot of things. I do feel like the Jaden is you being high on him, which is, but that's fine. That's your ranking. That's what you believe. That's great.
I also think that
I hope he is top 3.
He has a huge amount of information living in where he lives. So, that's all they're going to talk about is Jaden, anytime in sports news in his area and stuff like that. True. So I think that also can play into it a little bit, but honestly, Tim, I think your list is pretty good, going through the whole thing.
Do you want to know what the top 5 odds are to win MVP this year?
Lamar Jackson's Josh Allen's number 1, wasn't it?
Not right now.
Okay. Go ahead,
So
break it down.
Lamar Jackson is 1.
Okay.
Josh Allen is 2. Patrick Mahomes is 3. Joe Burrow is 4. And Jaden Daniels is number 5.
Yeah. Well, that's different, though. It's what?
It's different, though?
You're saying who's the best quarterback? The MVP is the best, most important player in their team. There's a difference.
Okay.
That's what the most valuable player. It's going to be the most valuable player for their teams, the most biggest standout.
So think about it like this: if you won MVP and you're a quarterback, you'd have to be considered one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in the NFL.
Didn't we go through that list of Rich Gannon? You're going to say Rich Gannon's going to be the next year. He's going to be a top 5 quarterback.
No, but that year he was the best quarterback, wasn't he?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's I don't want to give any. I have no idea.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're doing there.
But what if Trevor Lawrence has a bounce back season?
That's why he was a guy that I had on my list as a possible number 10.
And then we get the NFC Championship, and then we go to the Super Bowl. Just totally improbable run. Like we switch conferences.
It's so good. We have to put him in the NFC. I would say Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the NFC.
Yeah.
It's a hot take.
No, I disagree with you.
Who's better?
Jalen Hurts. We just said this.
Jameis Winston.
But no, I would say for their teams, but also too, I think Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback based on the system that the Eagles have in place.
Okay, you're a homer just like me. It's okay.
No, I'm a homer. I am just saying it's hard for me to compare a rookie quarterback to someone who's won a Super Bowl.
I also
putting up stats.
Disagree with Rod. I don't even know if Jalen's like top 10. To be honest with you, Hurts.
Are you serious?
He
doesn't move the meter.
Yeah, I mean, if Trent Dilfer was top 10 back in the early 2000s, I guess.
I don't think Trent Dilfer was ever top 10.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't think there's any. I don't know. I don't really follow closely. I don't feel like there's anything special. Like, he's good at what he does. He's good enough, but I don't think he's like elite.
I think what separates him from everyone else is his rushing touchdowns, the amount of touchdowns he gets, he produces for his team. Is he a great passer? No, all the guys that you mentioned are all better passers.
I also think people shouldn't listen to what I say about this. I don't even know what conferences teams are in.
That's true. Well, that note, I think it's time to wrap this up because this is just getting off the chain. Next thing we know,
great episode, guys and gals. Don't forget, check out the link in the description below and the pinned comment. You guys can come bid on some football breaks with Rod and then some baseball breaks with myself. And yeah, there's tons of awesome stuff.
Wednesday night, tonight.
Yeah. Tons of awesome stuff going on dibditcards.com. And we have memberships now, too. If you guys want to help us, grow and get some sponsorships from Card Ladder, that'd be great.
Yeah, because he pretty much is the only one he hasn't thrown in the bus this episode. So, yes.
I threw Crab under the bus.
I know you
you threw a lot of people. He hasn't said nothing about Slab Strong. Maybe we'll get Slab Strong.
Yeah, Slab Strong. There you go.
What the hell is a Slab Strong?
Exactly. There we go. That one's gone. We could have had it.
Yeah, they hang out with the tough stuff guys, apparently. All right.
Yeah.
So.
Shout out Manscaped.
Zion cases? Why get a Zion case if you could just have a backpack? You don't need it.
A garbage bag. How about shout out garbage bags?
Yeah, exactly. Garbage
bags. Can we get garbage bags on 3?
No beggars on 3. 1, 2, 3. No beggars.
Garbage bags.
You better